He is a refined math teacher, but while grading papers, he discovers a warning letter from a student. He panics upon reading the letter, which outlines his murder confession, and urges him to surrender to the police. He wonders how anyone could have seen him push his disdainful in-laws off the mountain that day when it was completely deserted. To find out who wrote the warning letter, he meticulously examines the clues on the letter and soon discovers marks left by the writing on the envelope. He immediately takes a pencil and shades over the marks. When the writing appears, it turns out to be answers from the exam. He is shocked to discover that the exam paper he compares belongs to Zhu Chaoyang, a student in his class. It is this seemingly inconspicuous little boy who has ruined the life he could have restarted. To gauge how much evidence Zhu Chaoyang has, he deliberately tests him.
What you saw was actually an accident. My father-in-law has severe hypertension.
Don't lie. We have everything meticulously recorded.
It seems the 3 kids in front of him are aware of this matter and even have evidence. They chose to blackmail him with a letter instead of reporting it, indicating ulterior motives. Zhang Dongsheng directly asks if they want money, saying he can buy the video.
How much can you give us?
Seeing the 3 kids visibly excited about the money they might receive, he smiled warmly and asked them to convincingly prove that the video they shot was indeed real, before they discussed the money further. The boy promptly agrees to the killer's request and asks Zhu Chaoyang to retrieve the camera. Making a deal with the devil leaves no one unharmed. Soon after, the boy showed him the video they shot that day, and as the footage played, Zhang Dongsheng's smile vanished instantly, surprised they had captured it so clearly. At this point, Zhang Dongsheng had no choice but to generously offer them 30,000 yuan, telling them to spend it however they liked, only to be met with their demand of 300,000.
What? 300,000?
Zhang Dongsheng felt such frustration with the kids' demands that he wished to harm them. He was too meticulous to fight without preparation. He offered his phone number, stating he was merely a tutor at a youth center and couldn't provide 300,000, urging them to reconsider and reach out later. Zhang Dongsheng thought dealing with a few kids would be easy, not realizing the 3 of them were more cunning than he was. They went to the beach to strategize. Zhu Chaoyang initially resisted confronting the killer. Once the camera gives Zhang Dongsheng a chance, it won't be easy to find evidence of his murder. But Yang Liang doesn't care, because the little girl's brother urgently needs 300,000 for surgery, and he doesn't want to miss this rare opportunity. However, Zhu Chaoyang is still very worried. After all, they are facing a murderer. Yan Liang sees his thoughts, but knows that to successfully get the 300,000, Zhu Chaoyang's brilliant mind must be involved.
So Yan Liang deliberately provokes him, saying, "If you're scared, then don't participate. This is between me and Poo Poo."
Then, when sending Zhu Chaoyang home, the little girl Poo Poo gives him a pen as a birthday gift. Not costly, but holds significant sentiment. After being lonely for over a decade without friends, Zhu Chaoyang feels true friendship for the first time, leading him to make a regrettable decision.
I have firmly decided to confront Zhang Dongsheng together with you by my side.
The next day, they call Zhang Dongsheng and firmly tell him that the 300,000 cannot be less. Zhang Dongsheng hesitates briefly before giving them the address and asking the 3 to bring the camera for the deal. He believes he has already given you a chance, so don't blame him for being harsh, but unexpectedly, when he opened the door, only 2 people came in, and he realized these kids were playing tricks on him. Killing them now would clearly be irrational, so he planned to reason with them.
Kids must learn. You need to study, understand?
Are you studying solely to pass the time?
Is there something specific that you are especially afraid of losing? Sometimes, for various situations, we end up doing things we really don't want to do.
Indeed, their behavior is no different from Zhang Dongsheng's. Poo Poo is using them to save her brother, and Zhu Chaoyang hides the truth to gain paternal love, even trying to blackmail the murderer. They all chose a path of no return because they didn't want to lose. Feeling hurt, the 2 stopped talking and urged him for the money. If they didn't return on time today, Yan Liang would send the evidence to the police, so they warned him not to have any bad thoughts. As long as he paid now, they would definitely hand over the camera.
I don't have money for you. I've said it before, I'm not a rich person.
Zhang Dongsheng originally planned to seize the evidence, but the kids turned out to be tougher than he imagined. Now, he had no other choice but to pull out a bank card from a book and tell them it had 30,000. 10,000 yuan, and will transfer another 30,000 yuan every week until 300,000 yuan is collected. If Zhang Dongsheng can abide by the agreement, Poo Poo's brother's surgery money will be solved. But unfortunately he couldn't, because Zhang Dongsheng knew that as long as they accepted the 30,000 yuan, they would be on his own pirate ship. A week later, they found only 30,000 yuan in the ATM when they withdrew money. So they called Zhang Dongsheng again to threaten him, but they didn't expect that he didn't care this time.
Why don't you just hand the camera over to the police and don't sell it to me? I won't buy it.
Zhang Dongsheng threatened them, claiming that their acceptance of the money amounted to extortion. If the police are called, everyone will face difficulties together. Although his trick successfully left the 2 children at a loss, it could not scare the meticulous Zhu Chaoyang. He found Zhang Dongsheng at the children's palace after school and thought that these kids had thought it through. However, Zhu Chaoyang still came to collect the debt and even claimed that he would call the police if he didn't give the money. He will claim we were coerced and bribed by you, leaving us no choice but to accept. So, who do you think the police will believe in this situation? You killed 2 people, after all.
It must be the death penalty.
Zhang Dongsheng's defenses crumbled after the death penalty comment, leading him to agree to pay the 30,000 owed. But Zhang Dongsheng didn't expect that his constant concessions would only lead to their relentless pressure. Pupu's brother's worsening condition necessitated an immediate preparation of 300,000 for surgery. But Pupu and Yan Liang are orphans, and although Zhu Chaoyang has a wealthy father, which father would give 300,000 to someone else's child? After much thought, the only way was to force Zhang Dongsheng to come up with the 300,000 all at once, but his phone was always off. In desperation, Zhu Chaoyang returned to Zhang Dongsheng's house, insisting on immediate payment of 300,000.
If you do not provide the money, we will have to take action.
Call the police, right?
Just then, there was a knock at the door. When he opened it, he found a man with his daughter looking for Zhang Dongsheng for tutoring. Coincidentally, the girl was actually in the same class as Zhu Chaoyang. What surprised Zhang Dongsheng even more was that the man was actually a police officer. No wonder Zhu Chaoyang was flustered and kept his head down. To avoid raising the police's suspicions, he lied that he tutored Zhu Chaoyang privately every week, which is why he was at his home. He thought he could get away with it, but while he was just away to get a glass of water, the girl kept pressing Zhu Chaoyang with questions, almost revealing the truth. Zhang Dongsheng arrived just in time to interrupt the girl's interrogation and help. "You shouldn't have come here." Zhang Dongsheng declined their tutoring request, explaining that his wife had recently died. Upon hearing this shocking news, Zhu Chaoyang could barely hold his cup steady. Did Zhang Dongsheng kill someone once again? Zhu Chaoyang directly asked him about the circumstances of her death after they left.
Was it another accident?
Zhang Dongsheng indeed killed his wife, but the reason was betrayal. Zhang Dongsheng understood that staying involved with them would ultimately lead to his death. Zhang Dongsheng assured Zhu Chaoyang he would raise 300,000 in 3 days, a significant amount for him. He had planned to sell the house he inherited from his father-in-law, but with 3 deaths in the family, it would be hard to sell for a good price. He also thought about how hard he worked to inherit it. He was unwilling to just give it away. Not selling the house. How can I handle those 3 little devils without 300,000? While worrying, he noticed a text about an ATM withdrawal, realizing he should have acted on it sooner.
I mentioned it before, and I truly don't want to hurt you, but you have forced my hand.
At this very moment, the captivating drama narrates the complex inner thoughts of Zhang Dongsheng. The next day, he waited near the ATM and soon spotted the 3 kids. He followed them to Yan Liang and Pupu's place, and when they left, Zhang Dongsheng began searching for the camera, but only found the 60,000 they had taken. He learned their hiding spot, so it wasn't a total loss. Zhang Dongsheng devised a risky plan, borrowing 240,000 from Sister Pai at high interest, with monthly payments of 24,000. But Zhang Dongsheng didn't care at all, because he thought that once he had the evidence, he would go to their place and reclaim the 300,000, paying just 24,000 to settle the matter. While the idea seemed fantastic in his mind, he failed to realize that the 2 kids were actually discussing the crucial task of backing up their data. Yan Liang intended for Zhu Chaoyang to back up the video, planning to take all the blame and confess to the police once he secured the 300,000. But Zhu Chaoyang seemed hesitant. His dilemma wasn't entirely about worrying for Yan Liang, but more about himself. That night, he went to an internet cafe. An overwhelming sense of anxiety returned as I got ready to copy the data. He worried that Yan Liang's confession with evidence could link to his sister's death. At that critical point, the hard-won, deep paternal love would likely vanish completely. Zhang Dongsheng's madness was ultimately sparked by his selfishness. The transaction occurred the following day. To ensure safety, they chose to meet at the library. While both parties exchanged money and cards in a seemingly smooth transaction, it was actually filled with underlying risks.
Decided on your choices?
Decided on what?
What Zhang Dongsheng really wanted to ask was, do you want to die? He still wanted to give the 2 a chance, but seeing Yan Liang's arrogant attitude made him dismiss that thought. Zhang Dongsheng came home and prepared to destroy evidence by pulling out 2 large gasoline barrels. As he reached the seaside, he spotted Zhu Chaoyang departing with the money. He decided to follow him all the way and casually picked up a large, heavy stone. Just as he was about to strike, the stranger suddenly pinned Zhu Chaoyang to the ground.
If you don't release me right now, I'll inform my dad that...
If you truly did this today, I'll make sure to take out your dad as well.